Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Claire. You spent your life and career building a business, and the time has come to make a change. You want to sell it and retire or pass it on to your kids. So what's next? Millions of the baby boomer generation are facing this question every day. Over the next 10 years, 76% of business owners plan to sell or transfer their companies. That translates to 4.5 million businesses and $10 trillion in value. Stay tuned to learn more about this massive change in our business community and how exit planning is good for your business. Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Claire. As you know, we're always looking to meet with entrepreneurs, business people, and people who give back and are having fun. My guest today is Dave Sykes, a business consultant, business owner, and someone making a difference with small and medium-sized businesses. His company, New Paradigm Advisors, works with CPAs, bankers, and attorneys to help business owners break the chains that hold them to their business, find its value, and chart a future. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Claire.
Well, you're welcome. So we've known each other quite some time. I was thinking about that, and we met at the Professional Leadership Program at the University of North Texas like about 10 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't say
Fun
that out
stuff,
loud.
Right. I think we meant 10 months.
Yeah, it was like last year. But, you know, I think that just kind of starts with the lead-in of you've got a servant heart, and you're a servant leader, and you really do take a really global view of how you're serving the community. It's not just, you know, through your company, but it's all the other things that you do in addition to your company that really makes New Paradigm Advisors really special and differentiates you. So, we're talking specifically about businesses and kind of what's going to be happening here in the next 5 or 10 years. So we've got a lot of baby boomers retiring, and they're going to either sell or close their business. So with all of that in mind, number one, before we even go any further, what's your take on that?
Well, the challenge is there's 10,000 of us reaching age 65 a day.
A day?
A day. Wow. So some folks say 10,000 of us are retiring a day, but really there's 10,000 of us a day reaching age 65. So in the historical sense, it's a Social Security sense, yeah, we should be retiring. But we're probably not.
Baby boomers have got way more energy than retiring at 65. That's
Right.
That's like the next thing that's coming up, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
maybe next two things or something. So when people are, they're in that kind of that mode of it's time to start thinking about what I want to do with my life when I grow up or maybe graduate into this next part of my life, what is the most important question a business owner can ask themselves?
You hit it right on the head. It's what am I going to do next?
Okay.
Now I use that phrase, alternatively with what's your third act?
Okay.
I'm fond of asking a business owner, what are you going to do in 10 years? What are you going to do next? Because I want to break them out of that attitude of today's business is going to rule my life. Mm-hmm. I'll be doing this tomorrow, I'll be doing this next year. But what are you going to be doing 10 years from now? What's your next act? That's probably it's not really probably, it's the most important question a business owner should be asking. What am I going to do next?
And they need to be thinking about that before they're in that spot, right?
Yeah, it takes a little time to
I'm
run
on
up
stage,
to this.
Now what am I going to do? I don't have a script or anything to follow.
Right.
It's like all the cameras and lights and everything else is ready, but if you don't have a plan of action, then you're not going to be able to move yourself forward. And then I'm sure that you find people in lots of different stages of that third act. Some of them aren't really even thinking about it yet. Some of them might be in the middle of it and then find themselves kind of floundering because they really haven't planned it out.
Right.
And then probably the ones that are working with you are really successful in what they're doing because you've helped them through that transition from, the beginning and middle part, and now they're enjoying the fruits of all that effort.
Right.
So, when you're talking about the third act, I kind of have in my mind what that means, but let's illustrate that for the audience a little bit more.
Okay. One of the pictures we try to paint is, what is it going to look like after the business?
Okay.
And so many of us business owners say, "What do you mean after the business?" And so
this is my life.
Well, it's true. And we say, "Well, you're going to die at your desk."
Oh.
And that sounds like a negative thing, but as a business owner, that's not really a bad thing. It's what I love. It's my passion.
Right.
So what's wrong with dying at my desk? Well, that's the challenge when we're saying, what are you going to do after the business?
Yeah.
The real point there is, well, if you're going to die at your desk, that's a good thing. Why don't we plan on not doing it at 60, 80 hours a week? Why don't we back off of that and set you up in a way that you can work just the hours you want to work on and do the things you're passionate about, which is, why don't you come mentor your people? Why don't you come enjoy the relationships that you've developed with your vendors and your favorite customers over the many years you've been in business, but get away from the daily grind of the business. So dying at my desk? Sure, I'm going to die at my desk. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I have nothing else to do that I'm so passionate about.
So, as a business owner, what can I do? Do you guys have like a linear thought process of, here I am, I'm getting ready to turn 65, and there's a plan of action that I can follow, or do you just kind of listen to the owners and find out what they're really excited about and help them customize that plan?
Yeah. Most business owners are excited and passionate about something in addition to their business. Now, sometimes those questions get answered in somewhat of a trivial way. They say, well, I'm going to play more golf, or I'm going to spend more time with my grandchildren, or I'm going to travel. Mm-hmm. And my short answer to that is, no, you're not. Here's an interesting statistic that 75% of owners who have sold their business are unhappy with that decision a year later.
Oh, wow.
And what that really reveals is that they did not have something to go to. And they didn't work on developing that second passion or their third act or next act. So that's a challenge.
So I know that there's two kinds of businesses. There's a lifestyle business, and then there's a value creator business. So what's the difference between the two, and which one is most common?
Okay, most common is the lifestyle business.
Okay.
Probably the great bulk of closely held companies are lifestyle businesses. Those are the businesses where the business owner is intimately involved in the business on a daily basis. He is a significant driving force in the business, and everyone recognizes the business as him or her. And he is really the major value of the business. A value creator business is a business that's probably growing at a bigger rate,
Okay.
faster rate, bigger company, because it can no longer depend on just a single individual. Okay, now don't get me wrong, the lifestyle business is historically paying a lot of money to the owner, making a lot of good lifestyle choices for the owner and for the employees. Mm-hmm. So it's not a bad thing. I don't mean it to be this is good and this is bad.
Right.
It's really, really good for an owner that's successful in a business. But the value builder business is the business that's growing for the express purpose of building a value that creates or that funds the next act for the owners or even the employees. Okay, and you're positioning the company there from a buyer standpoint, not from the owner standpoint.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
make a
yeah.
little sense.
That's huge. Yeah. With my background in franchising, I've done a lot of work at the front end of selling franchises, but then I also did resales. And what you're talking about is so critical. It's like when you start your business, you need to start thinking about how you're going to exit that business.
Right.
And you need to plan that business accordingly. So when you are ready to exit, it's very easy to do because you've minded the store, little air quotes, all along the way with that end point in mind. It's
Exactly.
not, because if your books are a mess, you've kind of been lackadaisical because you've been following your passion, but you haven't really been, making sure that all of the other pieces of the business are crystal clear. Then when you get ready to sell it, it's a mess.
Right.
And people are like, well, what am I buying? And then if you're the critical factor and you're going to exit stage left, then really, what am I buying? So
Right.
this is really important stuff if people
Right.
want to have a successful transition. So listen up, folks.
Kind
You
of comes
need to know this.
kind of comes down to one simple deciding factor. If you're running your business out of your personal checkbook,
Yeah.
or you're running the business checkbook like your personal checkbook, that's a lifestyle business.
Okay.
Okay. So as a buyer comes in, they would look at that and say, well, we've got to clean that up. We've got to divorce you from the checkbook and set it up to where it's independent of you. So that's a simple way to look at it. And so
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it again.
Right.
'Cause you're making a lot of money and having a lot of fun and enjoying what you're passionate about, but you're not setting the business up for someone else to come and say, I can buy that.
Yeah. And they're wanting to buy the assets, right?
Well, yeah, you're whether they buy the assets or buy the company in stock or
Okay.
whatever. Okay. But the simple approach is, they're buying the assets. Okay. So you got to make those assets. You really, as a business owner, don't want to be one of the assets.
Right. That's what I was getting to.
Right.
It's like, so a transferable asset is defined as what?
Well, you have hard assets,
Okay.
which are easy to determine. How much money's in the bank, how much
Okay.
equipment you have,
Yeah.
et cetera. Those are pretty straightforward things. But the thing that drives the value of a company are the soft assets.
Okay.
Okay. It's what we call the human capital. There's the 4 C's. It's
Okay.
the human capital, it's the structural capital, it's the customer capital, and the social capital.
Okay.
And those are not hard assets. So how well your people enjoy being there, how well they're trained, what does your management team look like? That's a human capital. Social capital is, do they like being there? Okay, what's the culture? We use this term all the time. What's the culture of a company? Truth is, you can't come in and develop a culture. The culture is a result of how well the operations run, how well the management is done. Number one reason people leave a job is what? Don't like their boss.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's, again, you can't just come in and implement a culture. You have to make sure that the bosses all love their their employees and treat them such. So those are the 4 C's that really create a real value in a company.
And, I think a lot of people have a tendency to maybe not look as closely to those parts of the business because they're not hard.
Right.
But one
They're
of the
soft skills.
they're soft skills, but
Right.
I think that they're the hard skills because it's not easy to come in with a cheery, happy attitude if you've been in traffic for 45 minutes,
Right.
or an hour or even longer. But, as a leader, you're showing up and showing everyone else what good looks like, right?
Right.
And if you're not, then guess what? Everyone follows your lead because you're the
Exactly.
leader. Yay,
Right.
good for you. You have just developed a culture of like mad people.
John Maxwell calls that the law of the lid.
The law of the lid.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay, because it's like,
Yep.
oh, well, that's very
Your people
descriptive.
will never advance past where you are.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And we know that we actually want our people to not just meet us, but exceed us.
Yes.
So we can transfer out of there, and they can go do the things that we don't want to do. We can go do the things we like to do.
Exactly.
Isn't that amazing? Well, I know that there are some specific events that drive a business owner to think about selling or transitioning their business. So let's talk a little bit in detail about those.
Okay. You can categorize those into two different categories.
Okay.
One are pull events and one are push events.
Okay.
Okay.
Pull and push.
Right. Push events are really negative. They are what we call the 5 Ds.
Okay.
Divorce, distress, death, disability, and dysfunction.
Okay.
I don't even probably have to describe those. Okay. Probably shouldn't.
I think people understand what they are.
They're real negative. Something's going to happen that's going to cause the business to really be distressed. Okay. Or the death of either the owner or one of the owners or a spouse can significantly impact one's ability or even desire to run a company.
Sure.
Okay. So those are the things that will push you out of or to a transition.
Okay.
The things that we want to work on are the pull factors.
Okay.
Hence, where do you want to be in 10 years? What's your next act? Because if you'll focus on that and develop that passion, that begins to give you a reason to pull out of the business and set the business up to where nothing's pushing you out. You're saying that's going to pull me out because I'm creating value in a next act. Whether that's I want to start another business, I want to buy a franchise, do something entirely different. Okay, always wanted a sandwich shop, or always wanted a fast sign deal. You know, it's just the next act. And if that passion for that next act is strong, it'll cause you to want to say, okay, how do I then transition from this business? That's a pull factor. Okay, that's just a good example.
And it probably feels a little bit better to be on that pull end, you know, because it sounds to me like you're a little bit more in control of the situation.
Right. One of the things I'm fond of saying is kind of a challenge is you're going to leave this business either horizontally or vertically. So if you're going to do it vertically, do it with purpose. Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's a great descriptor. I totally saw that.
It is.
Well, okay, so I'm a business owner. I absolutely love what I do. I mean, I cannot wait to get to the office every day. I get there at the crack of dark, and you know, I'm really into what I do, and you know, maybe my spouse is starting to say, hey, you know what? Remember when we got married 30 years ago and you said, I'm going to do this for this amount of time and then we're going to go do this out in Napa, or we're going to go travel and get that RV or whatever. If I don't want to die at my desk, if I don't want to leave horizontally, what do I need to be doing now to satisfy that spouse, to satisfy that drive for that next act?
It's a big picture of just work on it.
Okay.
Identify it.
Okay.
Identify it and say, is that what I really want? And I'll go back to that trivial answer that people say, well, I want to play golf, or I want to travel, or whatever.
Yeah.
Tell you a quick story.
Yeah. We love stories on Coffee with Claire.
A good friend of mine and I were playing golf at a country club, and he played 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Okay.
And so we're standing there, and he loves golf, really good at it, especially compared to me. But really good at it. We were standing on the tee box one day, and he says, I can't do this anymore. I'm going, how can you not do this anymore?
It's beautiful
He
out
said,
here,
what are you
right?
talking about? He says, I just can't do this anymore. He said, Dave, you know, I play golf 3 or 4 times a week. I belong to this beautiful country club. And I'm saying, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So where's the catch?
He says, but I'm bored, and I don't have purpose. And I said, well, but you're retired. He says, but that's the whole point. I need something else tangible to do so I can feel like I'm contributing.
Wow.
So he really didn't have a good answer as to what that was at the moment, but he did within 30 days quit that club membership.
Oh.
Okay. And he became a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
And in a real high-end
Yeah.
market up here in Dallas. Okay. And I'm thinking, well, he wants to make more money. He did not need to make more money. Okay. He needed purpose. He needed a place to go to every day.
Yeah.
And now his mission is, even though he's in this big high-end area, he finds homes for new first-time home buyers.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was his passion.
Yeah.
It wasn't selling homes. It was
Right.
helping people, and that was the way he discovered to do it. So that's what I'm getting at. Identify your passion, preferably before you
Right.
leave the company. So we got time to build that.
Yeah.
The value of the company will fund that. 86% of a small business owner, a business owner's personal net worth, 86%, that's the typical average you hear,
Okay.
is tied up in the value of the company. So many business owners say, well, but I don't have any money. I mean, that's the business. Well, okay, well, let's tee that up to where it'll sell or transition. I don't care to who, maybe children,
Yeah, sure.
okay, maybe to the other managers, or maybe you don't have to sell it, but you can position yourself as the CEO, chairman of the board, and you can continue to take money out of it. All for the reason of funding your third act.
Ooh, that's brilliant, Dave.
So, well, I'm
no
living my
wonder-
third act. In case you didn't, this is my third act or next act, fifth, sixth. Okay,
But you're living exactly what you're teaching and coaching, and I think that's really important
Yeah.
to have that kind of personal experience, because you get it, you understand, you empathize. It's like, I understand all of the angst that you're feeling. I understand, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this free time? Well, guess what? We've got some great things for you.
yeah.
So, okay, if I sell or transfer my business, what kinds of things can I do? So we talked about real estate. We talked about, just finding a purpose. Is that kind of where it's driving from? Is just purposeful intent?
Yeah,
intention?
intentionality.
Okay.
You talked to Nancy a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
It's intentionality. There is no clear answer to that.
Okay.
I had one of my clients one time when I challenged them all with, what do you want to do in 10 years? What's it look like? You want to be in a cabin in the woods in the mountains in Colorado, or do you want to be on a 50-foot Bertram out on the Gulf? I mean, where do you want to be? And after a month working with him, he came back to me and he says, Dave, that's the hardest question anybody's ever asked for me. He says, the real challenge is it okay to change the answer? I said,
Yeah.
don't misinterpret my question. I'm not saying you can only choose one of these two,
Yeah.
okay? It's dive into that question and identify what your passion is, what's going to be next, okay?
Yeah.
And whatever you're doing now that you're passionate about might be a real good indicator of it. Let's just say if you're a great hunter, you love to go hunting and all that, well, you can keep hunting. Why don't you do a guide service,
Yeah.
okay? Or figure out a way that you can take that passion and really occupy your time with it.
Well, Dave, this has been so incredibly informative. I know that we have lots of people that will be able to glean so much from our conversation today. Again, I'm talking to Dave Sykes. He is from New Paradigm Advisors. And Dave, let our listeners and audience know where to find you.
Okay. We have a website, www.newparadigmadvisors.com.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to find us.
All right.
Of course, I'm always available. You can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I look forward to visiting with anybody that wants to call and say, tell me how to find my passion.
Yes, find my passion and give me my third act.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today, listening and watching with Coffee with Claire. As always, we appreciate all of our loyal fans. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with Claire. To learn more about today's guests, visit their website or find them on Facebook. To learn more about me, Claire Billingsley, follow me on LinkedIn or visit my website at coffeewithclaire.tv. And to hear more episodes of Coffee with Claire, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast and social media platforms.